Hi, guys. Welcome to Drama in Session with Carina.
And Heidi.
Today, we have a very special guest with us.
Yes, we have real estate guru, mom, wife, and we're so excited to introduce her. So please tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hi, my name is Monica Singer. I have been in the real estate industry for about 8 years now, and working on a lot of other things. I'm a serial entrepreneur, but real estate is definitely my passion.
Serial entrepreneur. That is like literally the job title of like so many people I know. It's crazy. Especially nowadays, I feel like you can make a business out of anything.
I know.
So when people are, especially during divorces, they're like, well, I can't find a job or they don't work. I'm like,
You
can get
yeah,
it.
you can do something.
Well, our podcast today is going to be a little interesting because obviously it's not strictly about divorce or courtroom drama. Monica is here to share some interesting stories with listings that she's had, whether they're dealing with divorced couples or just crazy people in general, and what life has been like selling homes and being part of like the craziness, because everyone knows that obviously in relationships, especially when you throw in stressful factors such as buying or selling a home, it can get pretty heated.
Yes.
It can. So what's like the wildest divorce listing you can remember having, or anything that really like stuck with you?
I feel like they're all just very difficult. Like anytime I'm dealing with a divorce, I have to mentally prepare because both parties are, at each other's throats. They're venting to you, or they hate you because they think you're siding, taking sides. So you have to definitely tread lightly, and you have to also be a therapist at times, and it's a very emotional roller coaster. So, I mean, they've all been so different, but I think there was one where we got a phone call, and so it was like within the team, and it was a lady, and she was like, hey, my partner, we're pregnant, my partner, he wants to sell his house, and we want to upgrade, we have a baby on the way. And we were like, okay, cool, like let's go check out the house. So we get there, we go to the property, and she's not we're meeting the partners. So it's him, and it's his wife's house. So obviously we did our due diligence. We were like, hey, whoever's on title needs to be there so we can meet. But we didn't even know that it was an actual divorce case. So the client that we were speaking to that connected us with the seller was the mistress.
And officially promoting to baby mama.
Yes, slash baby mama. So everybody was caught off guard. We weren't prepared for it. We just knew that we were meeting because it was a referral. Usually we vet them out really well in the beginning. It's like, hey, but because it was somebody that we knew, we were just, we trust them. So it's like, hey, we'll talk in person. We'll get all the details in person. We already know that they want to hire us. So we thought it was, going to be easy peasy. And then so we go in, and it was horrible. Like the wife was crying, the kids are crying. They didn't want to sell the house.
Did the wife know about the husband and the mistress? And
Yeah, so I believe that she did at the time, and because she was distraught. And then he kind of he left everybody, like he left us in the room with her. So we were consoling her, and she was just like telling us about at that point, telling us about what was going on. And we were just like, oh my gosh, like the mistress is outside
oh my
waiting in the
God.
car.
Wow. Honestly, like, and when you said in the beginning that tension is always so high and you become a therapist, I don't think people understand what goes into family law and dealing with these divorces or separation or whatever the case may be, because their tension just fills the room.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. Sometimes we walk out, especially court, you walk out of court and you're just drained.
Like your shoulders just feel so heavy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is like
I don't know how you do it.
It's not easy. It's definitely not easy, and I think because I have so many years of experience in dealing with it, I know how to calm people down and how to kind of put their emotions aside, but it really does fill the room. So for you guys are probably like, "Okay, the mistress is just waiting outside."
I was caught off guard because it wasn't like my direct referral, so I didn't know any parties. I didn't know what was happening, but even my agent who knew the baby mama, she didn't know like it was more of a long distance, not a long distance friend, but like an acquaintance. So like we didn't know like any of the details or anything. So once we got there, we were definitely caught off guard. We were like, oh my gosh, this is not what we thought we were coming into.
And usually that's what happens because, I mean, you really never know, and a lot of the times I feel like people claim to be blindsided, but I didn't think they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, and that's where you can't judge because,
Yeah.
like, even on the baby mama side, I can't judge. I don't know what happened. I don't know how long it's been happening. Like, we don't know any of the details. We're not there for the details. I like to separate myself
Absolutely.
when it comes to any of that, and I'm sure you have to.
Yes.
You can't really, like.
Yeah, we're just there to get the job done.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it should be, but it's so hard. And then, I mean, we're nosy, so, okay, how did you meet? What happened?
Yeah.
I think I got a call yesterday, and the lady was like, "So you represented my husband's ex or current or baby mama." Okay, and I was like, "Wait, what?" And I'm like, "So now you guys are divorcing?" "Yeah, and she sent me to you."
Oh my god.
Like, they're besties now.
Oh, and this was, like, years ago, so I was like, "Oh, hey, okay, cool." And she's like, "So this is the second case you're going against him on?" And I'm like, "Wow, okay." So, and, it was funny because she also had a lot of questions regarding, like, their property and when to sell. And I know that, we've talked in the past about sending clients over and selling homes. And a lot of the times, you don't really know what these people are really going through. I mean,
Right.
I don't know the extent of their relationship until I really get a client to trust me because it takes a while for them to admit sometimes that they've been victims of domestic violence. Have you ever been caught in a situation where you were like, okay, this is starting to feel like a lot?
Not to where, like, anything's gonna happen in front of me, but one time I was hosting an open house for a listing, and it was the couple had already been together and married, or I don't know if they were married, but they had already been together for a long time, over 10 years. But the house that they lived in was the previous wife's. She was also on title, I believe, but they did divorce, but something happened to where, like, she was still on title of the house.
Okay.
Or still, I don't remember if they were waiting for, like, a piece of paper. They were waiting for something to be able to sell the house. So we were doing open houses, and the new wife, she said, she was like, "Hey, this is what she looks like. She's really nosy. She always tries to butt in. So if she tries to come, there's a restraining order on her. She is not allowed in my house." And then the husband goes, "As a matter of fact, if she walks in, feel free to shoot her and just you can just throw her in the basement." He's like, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." With like a straight face, and I was like, "Okay."
You're like,
So
"Do
you-
I laugh or not?"
You're like, I don't know you, sir.
I was like, "Oh my gosh, am I safe?"
Oh my god. You know what's funny is that I always wonder if, like, because you have a lot of following on social media and you've done open houses and stuff in the past. Like, have you ever had people stalk you and show up?
Yeah, yeah. So actually, one time when I first started my team, I had a couple males. Right now we just brought on a new male, but for a long time we've been all females. So in the very beginning, I actually had two male agents, and he borrowed my open house signs. So he went and he put up signs, all around the block, and he goes inside, and he ends up calling me afterwards, but he was like, "Hey, Monica, this guy came in and he was adamant about where's Monica? Where's Monica?" And he was like, "Oh, were you expecting her? Were you like who are you?" And he was like, "I saw the signs. Like, these are her signs. Where is she? She's not here." And he was like, "Well, yeah, I'm hosting the open house, not her." And he's like, "Well, this is false advertisement. Like, I came to see her." He was like, "Monica, he was weird." He's like, "I'm so glad you weren't there because he was just like, he was looking for you." He's like, "I was scared for you." I was like, "What the heck?"
Oh my god. Well, it's been Yeah, if that ever happens again, give us a call. We will gladly file a restraining order for you.
I'm like, wait, we need to go back. Did she end up showing up?
No.
Okay.
She didn't. She didn't.
yeah.
No, she didn't.
Oh, because that would have been yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what do? Do I push him out? Do I
Well, I guess you would have to call the cops because
Yeah.
if there's a restraining order, she shouldn't be there. But most people are not going to be that dumb. Oh, well,
We've had people drive by and they're like, I'm still like, that's what, 100 yards away.
yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then, we see a lot of neighbor disputes. And it's like, well, I'm the neighbor. How do I really abide by a restraining order if we share a fence? Like, well, I mean, I can't prevent you from going outside when the guy is outside or when the lady's outside. But yeah, those get tough.
Oh my
And
God.
I know that we've dealt with a restraining order once where they were selling and the lady kept like coming and telling the people all kinds of crazy
Oh,
stuff.
that happens. Yeah, we've lost sales from neighbors.
Oh my God, like, what do you mean? What do they say? There's a body in the basement.
Yeah, they'll just say like how horrible, like things that happened in the I think one time they said that like the house was like some big murderer's house and in the past killed a bunch of people in the property. But I don't know if it's even true. I'm like, is that stuff where can we tried to look it up and there was nothing. So once we talked to the seller, he was like, no, that lady's crazy, like she does that to everybody, she's just crazy. And the house was in escrow, they ended up canceling. So we couldn't sell that house because of that neighbor.
I wanted to ask, is she older? Because
Yeah, she was older.
I'm like picturing an older.
Yeah, she was older, but it sucked because we were about to close, getting ready to close, and the buyers were super excited. And then once they talked to her, obviously they didn't want it.
Yeah, they didn't want to move forward. But isn't there like a database where you can look up if there's been like a death?
So legally, you only have to
Disclose like
disclose if it's within the last 3 years, if somebody has passed in the property. And then everything else, I mean, I'm sure people can scrub stuff off. I'm not sure
yeah, like you wipe the internet or whatever the case may be. Yeah.
if that's the case, but I mean, I think a murder is maybe a little bit different from like a natural death because my house that we bought there it was the lady passed away in the house and I'm not scared of it, but a lot of people are scared of buying houses where people die in the house. But we actually felt a lot of peace when we walked into our house when we bought it, and there was so many plants. She had gardens, so I liked it. I liked the aura that was there. I was like, and she was like 90 something, died of natural causes. So like we fell in love with the house, and
You're like, we're besties now.
I know. I'm like, hey, is that you? Are you in the class?
Cycle of life. Hakuna Matata.
So years ago when my husband and I were looking for houses, my real estate agent at the time, it seemed like every weekend my husband was at work where he was like, oh, I have this house. So there was a particular area that I was interested in. And I remember we walked into this house and it just felt so weird.
Oh yeah.
It was like dark and sketchy and it was a beautiful home, but the whole aura was like,
Yeah.
it was strange. And that house didn't sell for years. And I still remember how I felt. And I looked at him and he's like a big guy. And he was like, this feels weird, right? And I was like, yeah. Can we leave? He's like, yes, thank you. And we got out of there. He locked it so fast. And we're like, okay, on to the next.
You'll have those that it happens. It's pretty common. You walk in and it just something doesn't feel right. And there might not be anything wrong with the house. It's just like a feeling that you get the minute you walk in. And sometimes buyers don't notice it. And I just try to like be cautious. But and you don't want to mess up the deal either. Like, we're taught as realtors, like we can't express our feelings because they might not feel the same way. And then you're going to get them to start thinking like negative.
Of course.
So, but there are cases where, I walk in and they fall in love and I'm like, I don't know, something just
You're like, oh no. You're like, okay, I'm going to meet you outside of the house.
You're like, their aura radar is off.
yeah, there's this but mine might be too high. I don't know.
Mine might be too high with all the crazy stuff I've been dealing with. Yeah, I mean, well, it sounds like you just have to deal with so many different people, dealing with so many different stages, right? Because it doesn't always mean that people are selling and it's like a happy situation. And one thing that people always ask is like, when is the right time to sell when you're divorcing? And I don't know. I mean, I'm always like, whenever you guys are ready or when it's the right time. But then they'll tell me, I spoke to an agent and they were like, it's not the right market. And I'm like, what does that even mean?
Right. I think the first question that most of the time, very first question we get is, I want to buy them out. But like, I want to buy my partner out. So usually it's like one party that's reaching out and they're like, hey, how do I buy them out? How do I remove them from title? But we have to, they don't understand at the time. They think buying them out means, oh, I can afford the mortgage.
Yes.
And that's not what it means. It means that now we have to add on their portion of you have to pay or give them money. And now so let's say the house, they've had it for 10 years and it has $100,000 in equity. So now you guys are going to split, 50-50. So one gets literally 50,000, the other one gets 50,000. Now you need to pay the other party the 50,000. So you have to get an additional loan or refinance it and add it to yours. So that means the mortgage payment is going to go up. So,
especially with the market now and the
interest rates. And the interest rates, you guys probably got it at a really low rate.
Yes.
So usually 9 times out of 10, that's how the conversation starts, is like, hey, I want to buy them out. I want to buy them out. And then once we look into the finances, we see what it actually means, that I have to pay them their portion. And that's where like an attorney comes into place too, right? It's like, hey, are they on title? Are you going to give them 50-50? Are you keeping something and they're not, or are they keeping something? So you have to figure it out. Surprisingly, a lot of cases don't bring on attorneys. They're kind of just like, most people just know that they have to go 50-50. I think those are the more like, you probably see all the crazy cases, obviously, that where you have to get involved. I get to see the ones where it's a little bit more like
amicable.
Yeah, and they're just like, we don't need attorneys. There has been some where we do have to deal with the attorneys, but I've been lucky enough to have some where it's just like, hey, they're getting 50%, or sometimes they're like, hey, they're gonna get 35%, and I'm like, hey, do you agree? Yes, we agree. Okay, I'll do all the paperwork to where you get 35 and you get the rest. But they never like buy the other person out. They can't afford it on their own.
And now with the market, it seems like it's happening less and less.
Mhm.
Before, I think it was a little different. Even if you don't owe the other party money, right? Like, even if you're like, you can keep this, you can keep that, I keep the house. Well, at some point, you have to refinance to get them off of the loan. And a lot of people will tell me, I called the bank or I called an agent and they said that I don't have to do that. And I'm like, no, you have to do that.
Yeah, unless you want to be tied to them forever.
And you can't. The court won't. If the other party wants to get off the loan, the court will absolutely be like, you have like this amount of days to do it. Otherwise, like, you're selling. Because what happens if that person wants to buy a house?
Yeah.
Now they're like, you own this house. No, I don't.
Mhm.
And a lot of people are like, well, I'll wait until the market's a little better. I'll sell or I'll refinance in like a few years when our children are older. And I'm like, no, you just want to cut ties now.
And unfortunately, I feel like when wives are gifted like a home where, let's say they break up and the husband's like, hey, I'll give you the house. And then maybe 10 years down the line, she decides to remarry or she wants to move on. Now he's pissed.
Yes.
And he's like, I'm taking the house. And this whole time she's been paying the mortgage and she thinks that the house is hers, but they never did any paperwork for it.
Yes.
And you can't just like take their word on it.
No, and you can't make these agreements without them being legally binding.
Exactly.
Because the court will say like, well, you needed to pay rent no matter where you were.
Exactly.
So by you claiming, well, I was paying the mortgage, well, that really doesn't mean anything to us.
Mhm.
And obviously, if you thought that you had this house and you thought you were safe, then you needed to do the appropriate paperwork or take the appropriate steps to make sure that this was set in stone.
Yes.
And a lot of people will say, well, this was part of our agreement. Well, things change, people change, and you're allowed to, I guess, take back agreements as long as they're not legally binding. And people don't see that. They don't understand that.
100%.
And I feel like years ago, I would have a lot of clients that would keep the house, that
Mhm.
would be able to buy the other person out. But now
It's
It's
so hard.
not happening. There's just no way because people bought this house like 20 years ago and their mortgage payment's like $800. Then you have to refinance and then take money out to pay that person out. And now your interest rate is like triple, 4 times higher than it was before. It's so hard.
Yeah. And even if you, like I was saying, like, even if sometimes the husband's like, my kids live with her, so like I'll let her keep the house. Once the kids are 18,
What happened?
and you have a new man and he's living in the house, he wants his house back.
Yeah, or half of a share of the equity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or
Exactly. So
something.
you have to be very careful.
Well, you better hope that your new man has a good credit score and
We can get you out of the house.
can refinance the house with you.
And I think what plays a big deal is just the sentimental value of the home, because they always tell us, well, this is where like the kids grew up and we don't want to displace them. And it's, well, if you're already getting a divorce and you're already like splitting everything and, walking away, you might as well walk away from the house
I
too,
think
right?
what I personally think and what I feel when talking to like divorced couples, usually when they're wanting to keep the house, somebody is still not over the relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody still just feels like by keeping the house, there's something that's connecting us still. It might be because the kids are here and this is the kids' home, and maybe the husband's welcome at any time, or vice versa. If the husband that has the kids full time and he's in the house, maybe the wife is, what, like, I feel like somebody's still holding on. I think when they're truly, truly over it, they want no ties. They're just like, get rid of the house. I want nothing to do with him. I don't want to think of him. Like, like I want to get over it and I just want to move on. So sometimes I think one person has hope so they don't go like full throttle on selling the house.
And we get that a lot. I feel like I can always tell who is still
Holding
holding on
yeah.
to hope or to emotions or anything.
Or they make the process difficult. Like one of our clients, I guess they have security cameras and he left the home or something, or he's in a back house. I don't know. And then the other attorney keeps calling us like, hey, my client lives here with the daughter alone. She doesn't have access to the cameras. And we're just like, can you just like,
But we ask him and he's like, she can call. She can get her own password. Like I'm not going to give her my password because he does still have access to the home because he lives in the back portion of the ADU. So he's like, I'm not going to give her my access so then she blocks me out. She can just call, but then the attorney's just like bugging us about it. And I am to the point where I'm like, okay, this is getting weird between you guys. I don't really know what's going on. And I'm always afraid of DV when we're dealing with people getting a divorce because there's a reason why you guys are getting a divorce. You guys don't get along. The longer you live together.
and they're still living together while the divorce is, and some of them are in the same house.
They stole my underwear and bras and then dropped them off at the porches of the
Yes.
neighbors.
Oh.
Like people do, or we were just talking about this, like what we notice a lot is that when people get angry and they're supposed to like leave a house or whatever, we get a domestic violence restraining order.
With a move out order.
With a move out order, people are so petty. They will take the faucet handles to the sinks,
Oh my God.
the light bulbs,
The lamps.
the
and-
door handles. Like they take the most pettiest stuff. Like they disconnect the toilet, and then you're just like, everyone's calling us, and we're so used to it now that we're just like, whatever.
But yesterday it happened again on another case and we were thinking about it. We're like, wait, why do they do this?
Yeah, it's just to piss them off.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you ever walk into a house that's being sold and it doesn't have like fixtures?
No, but so it's funny. So when I was 19, I bought a house and I got roommates. And it was a 4-bedroom house, and downstairs, one of my roommates, he started dating a girl and she was coming over a lot and I really liked her. But they ended up breaking up and she unplugged the fridge. And
Oh my God.
we didn't like, well, the fridge was gifted to us by her family, and they were getting rid of a fridge and we needed one. So she was like, "Oh, I'll take it over." And I really liked her. We're actually still friends. I sold her a house.
You're like, hey.
But at the time, I sold her a house with her new husband.
You're like, oops, I'm already in the story. I'm already deep.
But it was something between them. But I walked into my house and I was always like in and out. I was 19, so I was, sometimes I wasn't there and I'd come home like days later, and then I get home and I'm like, what's stinks. Something smells. And then I go to the fridge and I'm like, oh my God, the fridge broke. Like all of our food went bad. The house smelled horrible.
And no one notes?
No, because I don't.
You're 19. You're not gonna think.
Everybody's in and out too. So I don't even know if anybody had, or maybe we were all gone. Like we would always go to like Rosarito. Like we'd go we were all young. So we were all friends. So we would all kind of like go. So it might have been all of us came home at the same time. I don't remember, but it was there for like 3 days. And then I was like, oh, not only was it unplugged, it was cut.
She was like, "You're gonna break up with me. You ain't gonna use my fridge."
But I was like, hey, you handle it. I was very passive. I'm not as passive anymore because I don't know, not no more. But back then I was like, you handle it. I'm like, that's on you. Yeah, that's your problem. You gotta take care of it.
Well, people do get really petty, and I think it's just so funny sometimes when we hear things like this. One domestic violence case that we had, the guy would lock the fridge, but his children live there.
Oh my God.
And it was like, oh yeah, you can have access. Oh, I just put it there because I didn't want anybody taking my food. But it was like so weird. And one of the daughters would be working at home and he would cut off the electricity. So she had to go outside and like go get the box and I guess reset it or whatever. But it would happen all the time.
He took the engine out of the son's
Oh,
car.
yeah, he took the engine out of the car. Like, yeah, he went to go get it, and it's like nothing. Just crazy stuff that we see. And right now we have a case that's probably going to sell. They're going to sell the house, but the guy left an abandoned car in the front. And
On the lawn, right?
Yeah, on the lawn. And
Oh my
she's like,
God.
yeah, she's like, what am I going to do about this car? And so she's like, I'm trying to call people to dispose of it, but it's a lot of money. And then I don't want him to come and be like, well, where's my car? Because that's one thing that you can't do. Like,
You can't get rid of the
you
other.
can't get rid of, yeah, it's still community property.
Oh my God.
But it's like this beat up old car. And then, like, when she looked through it, there was like a wig in it and like weird stuff. Like, she sent us pictures and I'm like, what am I even looking at right now? And then I'm like, she's like, this was what was inside the car. Parking tickets that he got. There, it was just there. So what happens like when you come over to a house and you're like, I need to sell this?
I don't know.
Are there ever any trashed house? Because
Yeah,
we
oh yeah.
trashed their house too.
So a lot of houses are trashed. Yeah, I just tell people, hey, we can sell it like this. It might affect price, but if you want to sell it, we can sell it. And I think like it sucks because you can't show the house beautiful and. But I think like nowadays everybody knows that the houses are not going to come brand new or anything like that. So it's never an issue for me when a house is like ugly or trashed or anything, because there's a buyer for everything.
Yeah, and people usually are looking at the bone structure of the home or like the layout or something, right? Because you can fix a home.
And you can showcase whatever you want on social media, which is how a lot of our business is done. It's like, hey, let's showcase the nice things about the home or like the details about it, and then let's just get them to come and then we can tell them the story. Hey,
And then it's
just like
trashed.
there's a car in the front.
it'll just be like, hey, it's a divorce case, like this wasn't here yesterday. But there is a lot of psychology when it comes to selling though, because a buyer wants to feel like the home is theirs, so it can affect like, oh, this is not my house. Like when you walk into a house, I always tell my sellers, like, remove all of your pictures, remove anything personal,
yeah.
remove anything that might toothbrushes, like anything that might make someone feel like, oh, this isn't mine. You want people to walk in and feel like I can bring my toothbrush and I can lay in those sheets and I can, be in the home. And when the house is overcluttered, or if there's pictures of family or like too much baby stuff, like baby stuff is cool, but like leave it in the nursery room. That way a family can come in and they can feel like, okay, this is my home. But if they start feeling like the coldness of the divorce and there's too much going on, it can affect the sale. But then you also have like investors that are like, this is perfect, they need to sell, I'll come in, I'll lowball it, I'll change anything that needs to get changed in the property. So you have your certain buyers that maybe it's like a first time buyer that might feel if it's not theirs. Like if there's too much going on in the property, it might not resonate with them. But then you have like investors that don't care about that stuff.
Do you think that there's a lot of investors out there that look for divorced properties or properties that are in the middle of a divorce because they know they're going to get a
Oh
good deal?
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, they just know that they can get a better deal if they need to sell now. Like a lot of people know, holidays is a harder time to sell a home, but if you want out, then you're going to you're going to put it on the market. So, usually that's a sign to kind of as a buyer try to come in and get a better deal. And if you find out what's going on, then you're like, "Oh, okay, well, if there's no offers, I can make my offer," and it might be something where they're just like, "I'm whatever, give me the first offer, I'll take it."
But how do investors know that it's a divorced home?
They don't. So they just know, like, if it's, let's just say it's been sitting and it's wintertime right now, and they see, okay, the house has been sitting for a while. Let me find out what's going on. What's going on with the house? Will they take less?
Yeah.
And then they call and then they inquire.
Yeah.
Because a lot of our clients are pretty desperate to sell
Yes.
because they need the money. Like I need the money to find another place, and some of them for our is it restraining orders? But I remember one case, dad needed the money to get an apartment because they had a DCFS case open or something, and he wasn't allowed to have visitations unless he had a place. But then he didn't have the money for a place. So then we were trying to
Get that money.
like, you need to find a place.
And in this case, like the mom was crazy. So DCFS was involved because mom was not in the right state of mind, but she was staying there with the kids. And when the social worker went to go see where he's staying, it's like he's staying in his brother's living room, right? So once they're involved, they're involved. And we were like, okay, this house needs to sell ASAP because you need to be able to get an apartment because he was paying so much, and the lady's just sitting there on the house, and she refused to sell. It was wild. It was really wild. And then, we get a lot of people where they're just like, well, I'm going to go with my agent. I'm going to go with my person. So does that happen a lot? And then where the other party's like, well, no, I want this agent.
Yes, that happens a lot. Sometimes we end up, what I tell them when I know, like, I can't convince them, when I say, like, when I see that I'm not going to win that other party over, I just tell them, like, hey, you can bring on your agent and we can both do it together. That way, you know that they're looking out for you. I'll look out for him. But I always try to like guide both of them and tell them, like, hey, I'm going to play fair. I don't want, and sometimes we have to do this, but we just come in and we're like, hey, I don't want to hear about your guys' divorce. Like,
Yeah.
we are not taking sides. We're not here to take sides. We're here to make the sale happen. Just tell me what the agreement is. If there's any court orders involved, let us know. And whatever it is, it's going to be fair for both of you guys. It's going to be one price, and you guys get to look at it, and you get to look at all of the numbers. And as long as you guys both agree, then I'm going to fight for both of you guys just as much as I'm going to fight for the other person. And it's one sale, and you guys are going to, both lead with this. So when I am able to win both parties over, I do like to cater to like the party that doesn't want to divorce, or like, which is
Because their emotions are more invested in it.
especially if it's like the husband that brings me in. I have been fired on the spot where they're just like, nope, I don't want to work with you. No. And the husband's like, sorry, I'm gonna have to like bring in somebody else. And I'm just like, what did I do? And they're like, you're female. I can't. And that's another thing that I have to teach my agents, whether it's divorce cases or just even like a husband trying to hire you as their realtor. I tell them, like, be very careful what you wear. Don't wear a skirt. Don't wear a dress. Don't wear anything too tight. Don't don't be sexy. Like, you have to just cater to both parties, and when you show up, pay more attention to her. Become
Yes.
her friend, become friendly, and don't be so friendly with him.
Yes.
Because they're gonna feel some type of way, like, why is my husband reaching out to this girl? Especially if you're decent looking,
Yeah,
or good
absolutely.
looking. So we've learned over time, like, okay, maybe I showed up, maybe because I was wearing a skirt, or maybe it was because, you start to kind of like,
You start taking it out of your closet.
yeah. And sometimes, like, I'm even like, okay, if I'm gonna go meet with a couple, like maybe I just shouldn't wear makeup, but or like very light makeup so that it's just very like
Casual.
yeah.
But the good thing I think about you is that you're just very like out there on social media about your life and your kids and your husband. So it would be very difficult to mistake that.
Yes, but for me, yes, but I have to teach that to other agents.
I can see
Because
that.
some are also more personal. So, like, even if they are married and have kids, like, they don't show that on social media.
Yes.
But they're beautiful and they have curves, and that can come off as too sexy. And it's like, it's just their bodies. They're not doing anything wrong, but somebody can, especially another female, can see it as, I don't know, something bad. Yeah.
Mhm. Especially because it's such a just sensitive time in general.
That's why I have to throw in, not that I have to, I want to. I've always shown my family, but at the same time I feel like it when somebody does come and sees my page, they're like, okay, she has values, she loves her family, she has a husband, she has kids, like I don't feel threatened by her.
Yeah. And I think that's why I feel comfortable doing what I do and still showing my family and my kids on social media and my life because I want them to know like this is my job. I'm not defending this person because I'm trying to, steal them away from you or I'm not, invested in you guys not getting back together. Like they just hired me and we're just here to do our job. And people do get weird and they feel threatened. And a lot of the times when we're dealing with selling houses, I get people that call and they're like, well, the agent listed it for this, but I know my house is valued at 1.2. And I'm like, look, are we really going to fight about this? Do you think that the agent doesn't want to make the maximum amount of money off of your house? You think that your ex-wife or husband doesn't want to get paid out the maximum amount? Why are we fighting over an agent?
Right, right. And there's been cases where they're like, oh, she's going to screw me over, like where they think I'm going to screw the other party over that didn't bring me in. And then they go and hire somebody and then like they come back and they're like, wait, this person was charging me this much. And like, and I'm like, yeah, you should have just, I can help you. Like, I'm not trying to, hurt you. I'm not trying to overcharge just because you guys are going through a divorce. So I have had that happen. I've had where like it's family involved, and so then my family wants me to get involved, and yeah, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, but then the other side. They're like, no, because that's her family. She's gonna screw me over. But I'm just like, I'm not. Even though it's my family, I can't put my license on the line and get I'm not going to get my license taken away from my family. I'm going to still do things fair and do things right. Obviously I don't want my family to get screwed over.
Of course.
But that doesn't mean I'm going to screw the other person over. Never. Like my license is worth way too
Yeah,
much.
I know. We
to
think
do
that
that.
way too.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're very good about talking to both sides and telling them, like, we're not trying to scam you. Like, obviously, the courts know us. We're there all the time. This is our job. If the courts think that I'm lying about this party or this person, like, they're not going to trust me with other cases. So I'm assuming it's the same thing in the real estate world. Like, if you're a referral, like you're like, hey, can you help this other party out? Like they're going to want to know that put some time into being like this person or that person. And I think that a lot of the time they're like, well, them or family. And you're like, grandma, I am giving them the best deal. Thanks for calling me to check in on me.
Right.
But it
yeah.
happens because family feels like you have to take care of them.
Yeah. And I think like I'm naturally the type of person where I think I learned from my mistakes in the past where like you have a friend and they're like, don't talk to that person because like they did this to me. And then, so you're like, okay, well, if you don't like them, I don't like them. And then you you stop being that person's friend and then they become best friends again. And I've learned from those mistakes so that like as I started getting older and wiser, I was like, I can't judge somebody just because they tell me, oh, I don't like her, or like, oh, that's she used to date my ex or whatever. I tell them like, I'm sorry, unless somebody does something to me, I'm not going to judge that person. I'm not going to not talk to them or just because you guys had a bad whatever relationship, friendship, that doesn't mean that I'm taking sides. I don't do that. I think it's petty.
Yeah.
Obviously, unless it's something like horrible where it was like that person, did something to my kids or something like that, then I'm like, I hate her too. But if it's like, oh, I don't like her because 20 years ago she did this, I'm like, come on.
When we hear about like, oh, she's crazy, she's crazy. Oh, he's crazy, he's crazy, he's crazy. But you were with him or her for like 8 years, but they're the crazy one.
Yeah.
And then like, we'll be skeptical and we're like, okay, whatever. And then we get a declaration from the other side. And I'm like, okay, he keyed her car and he showed up at the mom's house and this. And so it's like, now we get it. Now we get where the drama comes from. And I'm assuming it happens a lot in the real estate world too. And you don't want to burn your bridges with other realtors. And so when they say, she's going to fight for me or she's going to do this, but you're also probably friends with the other agent most
Yeah.
of the time.
Well, the agents, yeah. I like to build my relationships with all agents so we can stay in good communication so they can accept my offers and that they know like, hey, she's going to close. So like, well, let's accept her offer because she's going to close the deal. Or, if I know the other side that's, let's say I'm the seller and they're buying the house, like it's good to have.
Yeah, because they're going to say she's reasonable. We can kind of talk to her or, they feel you out. They know what they can ask of you or whatnot. And that's the same thing with us. They hire us and they're like, I have beef with him and this is his lawyers and now you have to have beef with them. And and like in the courtroom, yeah. But once we walk out, it's like, oh, what are you doing for Halloween with the kids? And our clients get so mad sometimes. Like, oh, I saw on social media that, you were talking to this person, but that's my ex's lawyer. And I want to make sure that there's no issues. And it's like, what? And right away, I'm like, yeah, red flag. Like red flag. I don't want you as a client, but thank you. Is there like big time red flags for you? Things that we should tell our clients not to do when they call a real estate agents? Take notes.
I think I feel like it's hard to like explain those things to people. Sometimes you just have to know when to just walk away from something without even having to explain things.
Absolutely.
Because they're not going to get why you feel that way or what.
Or it doesn't matter why you get a feeling sometimes. Like sometimes I'm like, I don't know. I just don't have a very good feeling about this person. And it happens all the time. And I mean, as women, we're supposed to trust our intuition. And I feel like I'm always trying to teach my daughter to do that, but then we don't do it. And I feel bad. People are like, oh, they give me a sob story. And I'm like, all right. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I knew it. Especially when they're not ready to get a divorce. That's tough because then when we're dealing with the time to sell, it's like they don't want to cooperate. They don't want to do what they need to do. I think it's hard.
And then you show up as the realtor to the house and it's a mess. They don't care that, it's the open house. They want to be in the house or they want to fight. House like
we have a case that the guy, we had to get a restraining order because the lady was trying to sell the home and he was like threatening the real estate agents. And I mean, I don't know to what extent, right? But it was to the point where the real estate was like, hey, so my camera guy has a lot of expensive equipment and I just don't know if I feel very comfortable bringing them to take the pictures of the home when he's there because I've seen how aggressive he's been. And I mean, yeah, like you have to trust that person's instinct. What is she going to say? Like, no, just come. Then something happens and they're going to be like, no, I knew it. And I mean, she knows who she married. So obviously she knows the extent of this person's anger or I don't know. I mean, I don't think that it's every day that you encounter someone that's going to make you feel uncomfortable enough to not go show a house or list a house or take pictures of a home.
Yeah. When I meet somebody for the first time, I always have somebody with me and then I always have protection one way or another. Because it's scary. It's scary. You have to. And there's been times where the reasons why we have to stay protected now is because like I might have not had something when something could have happened. There's been times where like I never do I don't do open houses anymore, but I will if I have to. But I have agents now and they host mostly for me. But I've had cases where, well, not cases, but times where where somebody walks in and they have a backpack and they just look creepy, and they don't even they park around the block. And
you don't wanna judge a book by its cover, but then you're also like,
so I like that time I stayed outside and I was like, hey, feel free to walk around, go inside and show yourself. And he was in and out. He was just like, oh, do you want to? Oh, they had an upstairs. It was a condo. And then he was like, do you want to show me the upstairs? I was like, no, go ahead. Like, you you can go and look at it. And he didn't even end up going upstairs. He was just in and out, and he had the backpack on. And then I stayed outside and I called the sellers, and it was towards the end of the open house, and I was like, hey, you guys can come back. I didn't even feel comfortable to go back in the house until they got home, because I was scared that he would come back. I
yes.
was like, he had a backpack. It was just weird. It was you get that into it.
You get feelings, yeah. And I mean, we do that when we're in court and it doesn't go well for someone, we'll be escorted out because you just never know anymore. And it's hard to tell who's crazy because we will have these like highly successful clients and they are married to some crazy people who are also highly successful. And you're just like, How? And I mean, for him, he obviously didn't look like a normal person to you that it tipped your radar. But then sometimes you're in the middle of a conversation with somebody and all of a sudden you're like, "Oh no,
Mhm.
like this is a really weird conversation."
Yeah. I never do things alone anymore for real estate. And I tell all my girls, like, don't ever host an open house by yourself. Don't ever meet a client for the first time by yourself, or at least meet somewhere public. Don't do a showing if you haven't vetted them, if you don't have their driver's license, if you haven't, gotten them pre-approved, because now you have their documentation. You know that they're real. Like, someone that's gonna try to hurt you, they're not gonna give you all of their
Yeah,
information. They're not
exactly.
gonna
Yeah.
so vet them out, get them pre-approved before meeting with them. And oftentimes agents get so excited, especially newer agents, and they just want to meet the client
Because they just want the sale.
because they just want the sale, and those are not their intentions sometimes.
Yeah.
But do you have stories where something's happened?
So, like, recently, one of my newer agents, she got a call and she was like, hey, I want to list my house. Can you come today? So she and another, so I partner them, my brand new agents, I partner them up with the top producer as a mentor. So myself and the mentor will mentor them, but I have the mentors that will, if it's a listing, then the mentor will go on the listing appointment so that I don't have to go. And so they both went, both females, both beautiful, and they didn't vet it out as they should have. They would just, it was a like $2 million home that he wanted to sell, which they did check the title to make sure that he was on it and make sure that it was like a real person. So it checked out, but when they showed up, they were like, yeah, he wasn't trying to sell his house. He was like, oh, let's go to dinner, like, and it wasn't like he wasn't, trying to threaten them or anything,
But it was false pretenses. I can say we've never had that. We've never had somebody fake getting a divorce to talk to us. But fake trying to sell your house is wild.
so they showed up, and he was like, why don't we go talk over, dinner and drinks? And they were like,
Well, the dating world is wild, so maybe that works for people.
maybe.
A new strategy for people.
He's like, I know they're successful.
And obviously this house is there. Yeah. No, that's scary. A lot of like times, I mean, what are you walking into?
Right.
It's not a controlled environment where you meet, especially sellers, maybe buyers, but not sellers.
Yeah.
So that gets pretty tricky as well.
So it was a learning experience for them. And she was newer, and like, and when you're new, you learn from your mistakes. So I'm sure I went through things in the beginning where I'm like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. Or I should have had them pre-approved before meeting them, or sometimes it's just a waste of time. Like, damn it, I just, like, they're not even, they have a 200 FICO score. Like, what am I doing?
Driving 2 hours to go see that.
So, like, where I didn't vet them out in the beginning. So that's the one thing we try to train our agents. It's like, hey, make sure they're real, and if they really want to buy or sell, they'll give you whatever information you need. And if it's somebody that is not real, they're not going to give you all that information. They're
Yeah,
not going to spend time sending in their bank statements. They're not going to send you their driver's license. They're not going to give you, all the details on the property. But somebody that's real, they will.
So we see all these like videos and all this content stuff about going in these cool, awesome houses. Like, what's your favorite part, or what was your favorite part with showing houses? Was it the ability to create all this like fun content, swimming in the pool, laying on the kitchen countertop?
Can before they get there.
Oh, seriously. I think for me, it's definitely like so I've always been like a dreamer, and I've always been like a go-getter. Family's like, "Hey, you got to go to school. You got to become a nurse. You got to get, a good job and earn, $20 an hour or whatever, and they start putting these things into your head that you think are like, okay, this is goals. Like this is, I want to make $20 an hour. And obviously back then when I was like a kid is what that was like a lot of money. And now it's minimum wage.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've always like dreamt big, really big, and to where I knew like I'm gonna have like a huge home when I grow up. Like that was my dream. Like I want a big, yeah, like I want a big house. I want, so when I got into real estate, it was my first time that I was able to like go into a big, beautiful house. And I felt very comfortable. And I was like,
I belong
I was
here.
like, this is the I need I'm gonna buy one of these houses one of these days. Like it made me feel so like this is where I belong. But I didn't realize that in order to make money, I didn't have to sell those houses. Okay, so like I made not I it wasn't a mistake because I don't regret anything that I did because I learned from everything, but in the very beginning I did want to be like a luxury agent. So I was only promoting like $3 to $5 million homes. I was with like the Beverly Hills Real Estate Association. I was throwing myself out there, and I mean I didn't sell a house for 6 months. But the house that I did sell was in Corona Del Mar, was 1.2 million, which was great. So that's when I was like, okay, something's working. But then I started getting phone calls from like my husband, and he was like, hey, my cousin just bought a house and like he didn't buy it from you. And I called him and I was like, yo, what the heck? Like, I'm your cousin. And he's like, oh, Monica only sells like $5 million homes. Like, I don't want to bother her. And I'm like, dude, I've only sold one freaking house. Like, I could have used that commission. He's like, my house was like 700. And I'm like, ah. But I'm like, I get it because I'm showcasing like this luxurious
You put
life.
yourself in a niche.
Yeah. And somebody's gonna feel intimidated to reach out to someone that's only does luxury, They're gonna be like, oh, I can't afford that. I can't afford her, or I can't, like, she's not gonna want to sell to me because my house is little. So then that was when it shifted. I was like, okay, my mindset shifted, my social media shifted as well, where I was like, my direct like circle or just, my sphere of influence, they don't have multi-million dollar homes, but they can afford a home.
Yeah.
So I started to cater to like my people, my audience, my like ethnicity, like my just, like, hey, affordable homes, first time home buyers, DACA, like all of these things that people didn't know about. And that's how I actually started to build my clientele and to make money. So then eventually over time, I was able to then, last year, I mean, everything I sold was over $1 million, 2 million, $3 million. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm officially a luxury agent. And it was cool, but it definitely was a feeling when I do like walk into the big, beautiful homes. It's like, this is why I love my job, because like I can feel myself living in one of these, let alone like imagine the feeling of selling it to somebody else and the feeling that they must feel buying their own home. But then I now like my favorite part is like first time home buyers because they're so excited. They're so excited. They're so loyal.
Such a huge accomplishment
Yeah.
too.
And sometimes when you sell to like the people that have money, they're just kind of like, oh, it's another one. Like, oh, thank you. And I'm like,
And you're like,
Yeah, I'm like, "Wait, you're not excited?" And they're like, "Yeah, but, it's my 10th home." Like
Well, I think it's so inspirational for you to say that because I know that a lot of people that listen to our podcast aren't just listening because of like divorce. It's just how you were able to accomplish such success in your business and how a lot of people probably think that they have to sell these like $1 million real estate houses in order to be big. But I think that for you, you started that way and then your mindset shifted. And I think that a lot of people should hear that. That's what I think sometimes when you have divorce attorneys that are like, "Oh, I work at this luxury law firm," and I'm just like, "I've gone against you guys." Like, you guys don't scare me. And I try to cater to everyone and I make myself available to people that don't think that they can afford a lawyer, but I also take cases with multi-million dollar people and I'm just like I'm in the wrong profession. How does this person make this amount of money to the point where you're affording $7,000 to $8,000 in child support alone? Sign me up for that job.
I know she'll be like, "Heidi, look up this job. How do I apply?"
How do I apply? Because that's what you're giving in child support and you're fine. Like, you're okay. Like, how, what? Yeah, that's insane. And then, the wife's just like, okay, well, whatever. My lifestyle needs to be maintained. And I'll be in court sometimes, especially in downtown LA. And you hear people selling these high network houses like, well, our house is $5 million. And then we have this one that's $6 million. And I'm like, people are fighting at this point, you guys are fighting over that. Like, I'd be like, I'll just take any of the houses. Thanks. But it's just funny to hear. And, that luxury part of real estate, I think is what intrigues people.
Yeah. It definitely was like a factor, I would say, in the beginning, but then it's not real life, it's not reality. And then over time I realized that like what helps me sleep at night is knowing that I changed, a family's life, knowing that, the DACA recipient, he now owns a house and got to move in his mom and his dad and his brother and like the whole family from a 2-bedroom apartment where 6 of them were like living and taking turns on the couch, like those stories. I'm like,
It's amazing.
I feel that makes me feel accomplished. And that's why I'm like, okay, I want to do it again. Like, who else can I help? Who's the next person that needs it, that doesn't think that they can afford it, that works really hard and deserves like a home?
Not just the person that's going to be like,
Yeah.
and you're like, I worked hard for this deal. And they're like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, no, and they're so grateful, and they send you all their cousins and their,
Oh,
uncles and everybody. Yeah,
and now you have a big clientele.
yeah.
Okay, so last question. When people hear realtor, business owner, mom, wife, like I know you wear so many hats. And a lot of business owners, like I know we all do. But what title do you think is more you? Like, what would you say is more you? Like when people think about you, what do you want them to know that who you are?
I always say like I'm a mom first. Mom first, wife second, and then business owner third. And I'd like to say it's in that order. Because obviously, the kids have to get taken care of. But so does like my husband. And he's a huge supporter of my business. So I we delegate so much that sometimes I'm like, shit, he doesn't even need me anymore. Like we literally have somebody to wash his underwear, iron his clothes, clean his house. I'm like, what do I do for him? But we're both like, really hard go-getters and I have to make sure that we love to be around each other. So we can't let go of that. So it's like, hey, we this week we watched the Dodger game together. We were up. I was up with him till 12:30. I could have easily been like, hey, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go to bed. But that's quality time that I get to spend with my husband. And yes, although I have to drop off the kids in the morning, like those are my 2 non-negotiables. Like I need to spend time with my husband and I need to make sure that my kids get taken care of. And then I'll make sure I make time for work. And it's a conversation that I also have to have with my kids where I'm like, hey, I'll go to the Dodger games. We'll go have fun, but just understand when mom's working, she's working, or when she needs to work, she needs to work. Like we can have fun, but I need to work hard too. And so there's no balance. Some weeks are more work, some weeks are more family. There's never a full balance, but I always have to see where I'm like, if I'm putting too many hours into business, I need to make sure and say like, hey, I need to cater to my husband or I need to cater to the kids. And then sometimes like the kids, they're like, oh, I want to come. Can we go? And then my husband sticks up for me and he's like, hey, mom and dad we need our own time. So that they're like, you want us to stay happy? You guys want us to like, and he literally tells them like, you guys want us to still be happy and take you guys everywhere? We need our own time. And they understand. They're like, oh, you guys going on a date night? Yes, we are. And they're totally cool with it. We had to teach them that was important. And so now it's funny because sometimes they're like, you guys should go on a date night. And I'm like, oh, you guys just want us at the house, huh?
It's funny because my husband will say that to the kids too. They're like, why do you and mom always have to go out? Why do you guys get to do the cool stuff? And he's like, do you want your mom and dad to stay married? Like, because this is what mom and dad need. We both work really hard and we're both all about you and we need time together. And then for me, I'm all getting ready. I'm like, yeah, what your dad said. Even though I'm like, I'm tired, but we have to make that time.
Especially as business owners because you're technically on the clock 24/7.
24/7.
24/7.
24/7. I'm at the game yesterday and I'm like, duh. A bunch of texts. He's like, are you even watching the game? I'm like, yes.
You're like, I saw it yesterday. It was 18 innings. I got enough of baseball.
And that's the other thing is you have to also learn to disconnect. My kids made a comment one time and they said something like, oh, like we were going to go somewhere and they were like, but are you going to be on your phone the whole time? And I was like, shit.
I know. I hate when they point stuff out like that because I'm like, but was I on my phone? And then I start thinking, and I'm like, okay, now I feel like I can't be on my phone.
Yeah. So I got done with like text messages at the game yesterday, and then I'm like, okay, like let me interact with them. Let you know, they like I don't want them to remember me as always being on the phone. Like
I know, and it's hard as a mom and a business owner and a wife to balance everything.
it is.
But you do such a good job, and thank you so much for being on our podcast.
I haven't slept in 3 days, but I'm good.
Same.
Yesterday we were like, we're still doing this, right?
Same, all week long. After the Dodger game, she's like, do we even go to work? I mean, it's late. I didn't even respond. I was like, this lady, whatever. She better be there if I'm going to be there. So, I mean, well, we're so happy that you came.
Thank you for having me.
Hopefully people will reach out to you, obviously, to sell their home or any questions they may have with anything and follow your content because I love seeing your content.
Thank you. I love seeing yours. So I'm excited, super excited to have done this with you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in. We hope that you enjoyed our chat this time. See you next time. Bye.